Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very long DADCAW. You've already seen the length of the video. You already have seen the title of the video. We're reviewing this crazy ass year. We're gonna look at all the shit that I did this year and all the shit that you guys saw some of, maybe all of, depending on how much of a homie you are, how much of a G you are. Mad skills, mad respect. And yeah, I am gonna have to switch over to the streaming little thing that I have here, the desktop view, in just a moment to show you all really what's going on. Because I gotta say, I am quite surprised at how much stuff I actually have. And we're going to look through sort of like the channel. We're going to look through both channels. I actually have got both of them pulled up here. So we're going to start off by looking at, obviously, the channel that this video is uploaded to, the Pronogo channel. And take a look at that. So if you don't mind me not turning on, because OBS is a very functioning piece of software, we're going to take a look at what we have here. So I've given a little bit of 2019 for context here. A couple of the videos started here down in December 30th and the 31st. This is in the middle of my mod stream streak, which concluded on the 3rd of November, or maybe 4th of November 2020. And we're going to talk about that, obviously. But let's just talk about the fact that we were working on Toddborn once upon a time. I know it doesn't feel like it was the same year, guys. I know it doesn't feel like we've had, essentially finished working on Toddborn to some extent, even though we never really fully finished the project because it was just so fucking buggy at the time. But let me tell you, Toddborn was actually this year. Can you believe it? Would you believe it? The other thing to note about this is, as we're going to scroll through, you're going to see some of these streams got blocked because of background audio. I am in the process of appealing all that shit and like getting the songs muted or whatever, but obviously I forgot to actually look at that until just recently when I was looking through this whole list. Another thing that's really kind of annoying before we really get into it is we don't actually have the ability, at least I haven't seen like the search criteria, to search between dates. I think it is possible to do that, but I haven't been able to find that. So maybe next year YouTube will have better search results and we'll be able to benefit from those. But for now, we're just dealing with January of 2020, before all of the craziness really fully set in. So if you can cast your mind back to that, obviously I was working on my brother's birthday project, Toddborn. It was my attempt at making a very strange MOBA-esque control scheme for like a number of micro missions. We had essentially a tech demo where one of them was there, and you were fighting against Void and Anime alongside police, led by me and a character that might as well be me. And so that was a pretty wacky, zany project. And I think in general, it was a little too ambitious for the development time that it had. Obviously, I had been working on it in the month of December, and presumably even further back. I haven't scrolled back far enough to know. But that's definitely something where, we had some interesting things. And you know what? It's a bit of a fucking meme, but look at the time length of the first video of 2020, the first stream of 2020. Yes, the first January 2020 mod stream for Toddborn Mod is 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds. Now, if that's not kicking the year off in style, I don't know what is. I did not try for that. That was not intentional. I probably would have fucked it up if it were. I cannot actually believe that that's a real thing. So, yeah. What can you say? 3. All right, moving on. We're going to scroll up this sort of list here, and then eventually we're going to have to go back a couple pages or whatever. In fact, I don't even know where my page controls are. I actually have to scroll all the way to the bottom to go back a page, so that's epic. But we're going to scroll up here, look at what else we've got going on. We do have a fraud night. It looks like this is the FFA map in the thumbnail. Occasionally I might click on like a video here to expand it to see what was going on and see what we have here. Looks like we played CS and a Brood War mod according to the description. Yeah, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of content here. It does look like I was owning people in an FFA map or something, according to the description. I'll just mute this if I can. You can see YouTube's very functional user interface for when you're actually previewing a video and stuff. So yeah, this is when we were playing some Korean mod. It was pretty insane. This might have even been the map where we had the, yes, I believe this is actually the very same match where we had the desyncs going on for the, whenever like Balethal desynced from a game that Veek and I were playing. I think this is a 3v3 against the AI. And you have the lovely screen shaking happening whenever one of my units, not the Thor, another unit, walks around on the screen. So that was cringe. Glad I played that. If we continue scrolling through, we can see that there was some map craps going on back in this fabled time. There was a map crap season 3 episode 3 submission. I believe this is Crap Council, which is an installation, Badlands map that I use installation tiles. Yep, Crap Council. Yeah, if we just scroll through this real quick, you can see I'm putting together the level. I'm like working on some terrain, adding some more details and stuff. So that's pretty cool, I guess. And then obviously, like later on, I played all the submissions. And then I went back to Toddborn very quickly. Toddborn graphics, you can see the Void Zealot from StarCraft 2. That was pretty hilarious. My thumbnails were pretty low effort. Some of them still are, depending on what's going on. Like a lot of the times I grab a screenshot from the actual stream instead of just screenshotting some terrain or something. But, you know, in general, it's not like I'm actually putting together a thumbnail for each mod stream. It feels like it's very much, you really only watch that content. And in fact, actually, if anybody's watching this who also watches the mod streams after the fact, let me know. I have seen like Stratos Tygo sometimes will comment on the videos themselves after they've already been uploaded, the VODs. I know Milestone sometimes watches some stuff back if he missed it, but I imagine most people just skim through it to see what was going on that day, or they like maybe they'll go back and finish watching something that they already started. But for the most part, they're not really there for replay value. I did add those timestamps for the sake of allowing people to more easily find stuff, and most importantly, skip over long periods of time where I'm BRBing or at the beginning of the stream when it's just the splash screen waiting for me to get ready. So to my, for my perspective, I feel like that's fine. That totally makes sense. And only recently did I even really start justifying the fact that there's an intro section where I actually talk about like what's happened lately. I give some content plugs for people who might have missed content on the other channel or uploads that happened right before I went live or something like that. So definitely things have changed since then. But yeah, it doesn't look like we really streamed anything else. For a while, I was just doing these mod streams. It was infrequent stuff in terms of anything else. So if we scroll a little bit further down here, see I'm still working on Toddborn going into February. And actually, all the way up until the 31st of January, I was working on Toddborn, which is pretty crazy. And then immediately following that, again, still in keeping with the mod stream streak, I started working on my Full Toilet 2 submission. Now, if we actually switch gears and look at the content that I was uploaded, because again, this is another thing that's really annoying about the way YouTube has delineated uploads and live content. I can't mix these two together. I used to be able to look through streams and videos in the same format, which would have made navigating this mess much easier, especially since I already have to navigate both channels once August rolls around and I actually start uploading content to the second channel. That's going to be pretty annoying. So if we scroll back to the beginning of 2020, we see the first video is, there's a Big Boys table on the 29th of December. And then after that, it was, there's a DADCAW talking about the merits of whether or not you should even bother with like a new year, new you or anything like that. The idea of like, it doesn't make sense for people to have any sort of attachment to the fact that we have this calendar year go by as this arbitrary delineation of time. Does it even really make sense? And going into the merits of like being able to use it for good, even if you don't necessarily believe it's really all that useful. And then, I was still pretty big on like the very frequent DADCAWs. Talked about my daily routine at some point. More Big Boys tables. Rest in peace. Mesk is still alive, by the way, but rest in peace, Big Boys table. Hopefully it'll come back at some point. And then, so around the 25th of January, towards the end of that month, I had announced Full Toilet 2, which is why we were doing that Full Toilet 2 stuff. And then a little bit further into February, I started doing the CSGO map analysis videos and mostly just using images from the workshop for the thumbnails for those. And these videos, obviously, it was like the first time that I had really been doing stuff. As you can see, I even started musing on FPSs in my DADCAW series, and I was, messing around with stuff like that. Apparently, this swamp map analysis video popped off. I assume this is mostly because the swamp got added to the game, so people were probably looking for like guides in it or something. By that time, this video was outdated, so embarrassing for all those people. But I guess they liked the content anyway. So we'll scroll ahead back to the next page of uploads. But I think it is kind of funny that I started working on the CSGO map analysis videos on this channel, obviously, and that has been a regular piece of content on the other channel now, where I still do those things in a bit of a slightly different format. I have my face cam on for those, whereas previously I didn't. I am just a little bit more succinct and better with words, better with speaking the English language and letting you understand what I'm trying to say and communicating my ideas. That's pretty cool. But I'm already reading ahead of the class here. Seeing the Ascension of Duran on the horizon, I assume that means if we look back at the streams, that AOD will be in this list somewhere. So it looks like in between working on Full Toilet 2, I also did a brief stint working on Stormborn for an update. You know what? One of the problems with trying to update Stormborn and saying that was going to be a plan was obviously like I had this issue wherever I would try to look at Stormborn, I was trying to fix the AI for Stormborn, and there wasn't really a way for me to fix the AI for Stormborn, especially as I started working on Hydra's melee AI earlier on in this year, later on from this point in time. It became very clear very quickly that it would be better to invest time in the melee AI and then just run a variant of the melee AI in in Stormborn or any other kind of thing, right? Like, it doesn't really make sense to worry about anything else. A lot of the subroutines, a lot of the functions that I'm basically writing, like maybe AI engine is too broad of a term for it or too big of a term for it, but I am essentially documenting all of the functions that you would need for an AI to work. And I just happen to have to copy and paste them in every single race or every single individual AI. So like, for example, if we had a different build in map 2 of a campaign, but it was still the same race and still the same personality, then literally everything would be identical between them besides the build orders and maybe like expansion timings or something. That's a lot of wasted space in the AI script code, like in the file. Because it's just a lot of inline functions. This is one of the most exciting aspects of the preprocessor that Veek worked on later on in the year. I don't remember exactly when, is that we don't have to worry about that anymore. So that was actually one of the things that I think I realized very early on, is that working within Stormborn, trying to get the dated and not necessarily very functional AI in those maps to work correctly, it was kind of a losing battle. Whereas now, I feel like if we gave the Overmind script, like some of the Zerg stuff from the current generation of Hydra, not only the tech, but also the content that you actually have when it comes to implementing just the AI system itself. You put again some of the players that I've seen that have played Stormborn, you try to get them to fight that AI. Like, good luck to those players is all I'm going to say. Like, I saw Renato was streaming it or something a while ago, somewhat more recently anyway. Like, Stormborn would be completely different if it had the Hydra melee AI in tow. Even if it was like going up against the old Stormborn AI ally AI, like those AI, even then it's like night and day. And obviously the tech trees are completely different now, but still, it was pretty funny to me. So anyway, I just wanted to say a few words on that. And then, there's a Fraud Night over here where we played some CS probably. Obviously, I started playing Deus Ex. Soy and Smoke Myself to Death are great titles for the only 2 streams. Oh, wait, no, I actually did stream it again. Wow, I gave this game way too much time. That's almost 10 hours, or over 10 hours of my time was spent streaming Deus Ex. Holy shit, dude, I'm sorry. Although it does look like these videos were not particularly well received. While the first video had a 50-50 split. Actually, no, that's... The stats, the percentages over here, I almost never try to look at these. I only ever look at these for laughs. But as you can see, like, a 25% ratio looks really bad. But then you realize one guy liked it and 3 salty motherfuckers were like, fuck this guy and his stupid video. I love Deus Ex and disliked it. So it's not really that many. It is the magic number 3. Got to give him credit where credit is due. Thank you, Metzen. Scrolling through, yep, there it is. AOD, Ascension of Duran. Can you believe it? We played, I think, all of the first game and all of the first campaign and all of the second campaign in one go. And I believe this review is for both AOD 1 and 2. So I don't think I split them. Yep. So Ascension of Duran from 2007 and Dark Purposes, which is AOD 2 from 2009. And I do believe one of the comments, maybe the only comment on the first video, maybe it's the second video, was from Whiplash. No, it's just Julio Sebastian Sarmiento Contreras. Well, thanks for your fucking song credits, dude. Maybe it is in this one. There's some comment that Whiplash left. Do love Dynamo's response, but Whiplash says, oh god, the remastered version is in purgatory. I need to finish it. From the creator, Whiplash. Dynamo fucking annihilating me. From the void, from beyond, from a long time ago. Pretty funny stuff. But we've basically got to the end of February at this point. We are looking at playing alliances. It looks like I went through, I think there were 4 alliance videos. Maybe it was 3, because 3 And yeah, just still working on Full Toilet. I think Full Toilet ended on the end at the end of February, if I'm not mistaken here. So if we scroll through and we find, oh yeah, there was a leap year. So there's another DADCAW, March channel map. Okay, maybe Full Toilet was like 2 months then? It must have been. Still doing CSGO map analyses as uploads. This is back when I was talking about Unreal for making an FPS. That didn't go anywhere. Not yet, I should say. And then, yes, coronavirus started in, apparently in March, if you can believe it. Yeah, Pandemic Protocol. That's a good title for a Big Boys table. I like that one. So, kind of quiet on the upload side of things in March. Mostly just like some occasional stuff. And oh, you know what? Full Toilet 2 actually must have been ending on March. And the reason why it wasn't in the upload section is because obviously it was a live stream. I don't know why I thought otherwise. So that was pretty cool. Full Toilet 2 submission looks like it went to the 3rd of March. Maybe it was a slight extension. And then obviously we had the third and final Alliances stream. Did I review Alliance? Yeah, it's over here. So there you go. Early March review for that. Honestly, looking back at some of this content, like one of the other things that I noticed when I would look at the mod streams, for example, we'll just pick 3 March 2020 mod stream, is that when you start the stream, it has this old stuff. It doesn't have, here, I'll turn it on for you guys. It doesn't have this. Like, this is epic. And unfortunately, we just didn't have that back then. So, like, obviously, I started trying to mess around with that, and then Veek offered to tidy it up pretty soon after that. So I don't think we'll be able to luck across the 1 stream or 2 streams that had the old version of that overlay, that had like the, kind of fucked up user interface, if you will. But a lot of the content, I think, that's there, like a lot of the opening content, I think is pretty cool that we were able to get that transformed. The brand refresh, so to speak, is pretty nice. So if we look at, keep scrolling up here into March, one of the things that I'm noticing is crow icon, bird bitch, and where's the third one? Oh, no, maybe there was only 2. Yeah, I think Battle Realms is a game that I gave up on after the main story instead of bothering with the expansion pack. What a shit show of a game that one was. But no, maybe... Caw Sound. There it is, Battle Realms 3. I had to figure out where it was. I think I was on some sort of schedule where I would be working alongside, like a real life job, alongside doing the daily mod streams in the morning. Then I'd work in the afternoons for like 4 or 5 days out of the week. And then specific days that I did not work would be days that I would do these other playthroughs in the afternoon. So that's where like Battle Realms came in. And that's why there's a decent amount of time between the first and second videos are pretty quick behind each other, right? I think they're like a day apart. And then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like 5 days between that and Mapcrap, which obviously must have been like, okay, I'll do Mapcrap one of the 2 days that I have off, and then the other one will be Battle Realms. Imagine spending your day off playing fucking Battle Realms, dude. Wow. I don't know how I stayed sane, but that's how things were. That's how it all went. And then towards the end of March, we started on the next classic FPS. Or no, the first classic FPS. Actually, I was thinking as I scrolled past Doom when I was first looking through this list. So Wolfenstein 3D was the first classic FPS that we ended up playing. And then I guess we played Doom afterwards, right? Yeah, it's over here. So it's pretty cool that Dynamo and I were able to smack that around. I was also starting to work on Inconsummate again after my Mapcraft Season 3 Episode 4 submission. In fact, did I start working on... Yeah, I had actually started working on Inconsummate a while ago, it looks like. When was the first Inconsummate mod stream? It looks like it was this one here, the 9 March 2020 mod stream. So that was pretty cool. Obviously, I didn't finish that mission, but managed to get some work done there. And then, Fraud Knights kicked back into gear. It looks like we had stopped doing that for a little while. I'm not sure 100% why. It's probably... The fickle nature of Fraud Knights is like, obviously, if we didn't have enough interest we didn't have enough people playing, then we would unfortunately just not have to do it, because I wasn't going to like stream me and one other guy playing. The Fraud Knights themselves being streamed is not really that big of a deal. It's not like a huge issue for me if it's not streamed. The main thing that I would say when it comes to looking at the Fraud Knights is like, I kind of want to document the fact that we are all like, as a community, just in general, having some fun and playing games together and stuff. And especially when you do get a little bit of viewership on some of the CSGO content or some of the Brood War content, it's a nice way to advertise whatever we might be playing. So we might be playing some custom maps in CSGO, or we might be playing custom mods or my own project Hydra especially more recently. That's all we've been playing, and Brood War is playing Hydra. So, yeah, I think it's been a case where it makes a lot of sense to give that a run for. It's pretty cool. So, as we get into April, obviously we're playing Doom 2. If we scroll through the uploads a little bit more, we can keep going through and we can see that we're still doing the CSGO map analyses. I think that might have actually been the last one. Oh, no, there's some more scrolling further up. But that's way further up. So, yeah, we stopped the uploads in March with talking about the Let's Play question. This is something that's actually still been relevant lately, is me deciding what kind of value I can really have as a Let's Player versus a game analyst or game reviewer, if you want to call it that. A thinking man within the games industry and its space. So one of the things that I remembered, big takeaway from that video that I put together, one of the things that like was gained by me doing the DADCAW series in the first place and like forcing myself to produce public facing content that could be used for the perspective of sort of voicing my thoughts and then like forcing them to be more developed because I have to present the information publicly. And like just by talking through it, you will get somewhere. You'll get the opportunity to think more deeply about a topic if you have to voice it. Even if you don't, like, nobody watches the video. Like most people, these DADCAW videos do not get a huge amount of views, obviously. And they're more for me as an exercise than they are for like the public facing side of things, which is totally fine. I mean, even in theory, all of my content could be that way and it would still have some value because it allows me to improve as a public speaker, as a YouTube creator, like a video creator, as a thinker. Obviously, like I was saying, there's value in there. So one of the things that I took away from the Let's Play question episode, the 31st March 2020 DADCAW, is the idea that there probably is value in Let's Plays, but there has to be value in different ways. Like I think the Dead Space 2 Let's Play that we recently did is a good example of like when there's a game that I don't have a lot of prior knowledge of, or I don't have enough prior knowledge to speak authoritatively on, like it's not a deep personal like attachment to it like Brood War was. The vast majority of games I'm not going to have enough prior knowledge on or authority to speak on when it comes to like making sure that all of my commentary is valuable in some way. And that's very different when I'm playing a custom campaign, when I'm playing the original Brood War game. And I think even to some extent, if I were to, like, for example, in a hypothetical universe, that definitely will not happen in 2021. If I were to play StarCraft 2 again, and, you know, in such a situation, I know enough about the back end, and most crucially, I've had enough experience playing the game in general that I can speak authoritatively, especially since I can also speak authoritatively on the subject of an RTS game in that genre. I can obviously talk about that in a different way. And I think I could provide something different for the average person who might watch that video. And there would be value in that Let's Play. And that kind of long form, raw, unedited content that most people would consider low effort would still be able to be justified by virtue of what I would bring to the table for conversation. For everything else, most of the time, the Let's Play is going to be a means to an end. Whereas the bulk of the content is not really there for the purpose of objective entertainment after the fact. There's probably going to be a lot of funny moments like in Dead Space 2, but they're funnier if you're there in the moment, which is why the whole live streaming angle actually works for games like that. And I hope that that's the kind of model that I'll be able to sort of in general propagate for this channel, is have opportunities for community bonding and community building moments like, you know, goofy shit happening on stream and, you know, you guys having a good time while you're watching that stuff live. And then I can transfer that out of that into something more like a proper review. And I think like the quality of the reviews that I've been putting together lately, with starting with the Batman review, those are only going to get better. I'm only going to get more, tight with my presentation in that sense. And I'll be able to tighten up the things like me, you know, maybe babbling a little bit too much about like some tangent or whatever. I've been trying to do that a little bit better. So that's a case where I think it's like a nice preview of what was to come later on in the year, the Let's Play question. I think the determination that I had made at that point was that it wasn't really worth it right now, but it's still something that I wanted to do eventually if I could still put out that kind of content. So as we enter into April, obviously I was, still working on a couple of different things here. It looks like we did start to play Hydra Fraud Nights around this time. It looks like, playing multiplayer versions of Hydra maps. So this is like when I would play as like Zerg in Terran 01. It looks like that's what the thumbnail is, with me grinning sadistically as I eat somebody. There's some map craps. I didn't finish this map, unfortunately, but it was still cool. Started Doom 2. There was some more stuff after the fact where I worked on the AI for a map crap map that I didn't finish. And then, like, I finished it after the fact or whatever. working on Hydra Desperate Alliance. This is when I started working on the campaign missions with the intent of being able to play them in the middle of, like essentially play them for, multiple perspectives. And we played, we lagged, and we crashed. I like that fucking thing. This is before we started using Radman, so it was a while ago. So we continue through in general with the Doom 2 playthrough. I'm going to start tapping back in between these two more frequently so that I can actually see what's going on here. It looks like for the most part, it's just some big boy stables and some DADCAWs and obviously a channel map. So just like updates and then obviously the long form content. You can tell that it was really dumb that I was using the same thumbnails because it's at a glance, it's actually quite hard to distinguish a big boy stable from a DADCAW. So kind of stupid, probably something that I should not have done. But I didn't really start thinking about thumbnails until much later. And as we got towards the end of the month of April, we started looking at Duke Nukem 3D. And yeah, that's not a corner. Well, that is certainly true, sir. That is definitely the case. I continued working on Inconsummate during these mod streams. We had Team Multicrap, which was like, I think this was multiplayer maps. I believe that's what the theme was. So if I do something like this, we had, map must include advertising. It was like an advertisement for UD Commander's map or something. So we had, it was actually a 3 versus 3, it looks like. And we were playing using the new tech trees, and I think we crashed. And then there was Bailey 7, so Balethal and Veek 7. And I think it was just a 1v1 or something with me and Veek. I don't actually know who was there. And then we punched each other. And then DF, Dark and Fantasies, and myself worked on this fucking crow map, if you can believe that. Can I full screen this? There we go. So it's kind of shit quality right now. I can't actually change the quality in this preview, but as you can see, there are crows, and that's pretty fucking hilarious. We still got to use those at some point. Got to add those to Hydra. So yeah, pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. That was a pretty fun event, actually. Some people didn't take too kindly to it because they didn't want to make a multiplayer map, but whatever, man. I thought it was hilarious. So yeah, that brings us to the end of April. It looks like it was pretty straightforward. There was a point where I hit my stride in terms of just being able to perpetually stream all the time, making all of these Brood War content. And the exciting thing about the month of April for me was that it really kickstarted the development of like my design phase. And as you can see, as we enter into May, from the thumbnail of this video right here, the 2nd of May mod stream, we had the work done on a multiplayer map, and this is like the first melee map that I properly made. And obviously it was not that great, but it ended up being pretty cool. It was Isolation Tank, which is named after Joe Rogan, in Joe Rogan's honor. And it was pretty epic. I thought we had a decent amount of fun there. And so as we continue on through here, I think we finished Duke Nukem 3D with, we finished it with the 4th video there back in April. And then as we went into Quake, this is when we started in May. I think Quake was actually only 2 videos long, but I could be wrong about that. It looks like we sat down to work on the classic FPS retrospective. It's part 1 because eventually part 2 will be coming when we do some more classic FPS games, Dynamo and I. But part 1 was obviously there for the sake of discussing Wolfenstein 3D, Doom 1 and 2, Duke Nukem 3D, and Quake. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Decent amount of content there. Obviously, I started learning assembly and then later on C++ and programming in the month of May, it looks like, which is another thing that was really exciting about the early stages of this year, if I can still count this as like the first half of this year, right? One of the things that I thought was really cool was that I basically stopped conceptualizing certain skills like programming as just being out of my wheelhouse. And I started trying to do it very frequently. And that's something that like I haven't yet cracked that code with like 3D modeling or 2D art, for example. But obviously just doing something for long enough of a time, consistently enough, is going to be an opportunity for you to be able to get more work done and obviously learn new skills in a more deliberate way. There's some commonplace, like something that's in the common parlance when you talk to people who are interested in like self-improvement is, I think it's like, I can't remember if it's 500 hours or 5,000 hours, or I think there's a 5 in there. There's some amount of hours that people have arbitrarily decided is like the number of hours that you should be spending before you achieve some sort of mastery. And you don't even really have to even think about it like that. But the idea is, the lesson to take away from it is, if you can just do something over and over again for enough period of time, you are going to be able to get some level of mastery achieved, you're going to be able to achieve some things that you maybe didn't think were possible. And that's exactly what I was able to do with programming. I'm not saying I'm an epic programmer now, but I am able to do a lot of stuff now that I could only dream of doing, that I had to beg iQuare to do back in like this era when I started learning this stuff. So pretty fucking cool if you ask me. Now, if we continue to scroll our way through this list, we are midway through May in these streams. We're seeing Man vs. Rust. That's when I tried to learn Rust. That one did not stick. Nobody should have to learn Rust. And then I started working on Hydra Melee AI, started working on Cuckadoo Port, which is a map that we still occasionally play today, even though it has a little bit of faults. Still something that endured. It was a nice achievement to get that map taken care of. And that's sort of how we ended the month of May, just working on some of this stuff. Like if we look at this Fraud Night, looks like we are working on playing Hydra some more. We solved the desync. Yeah, that was wishful fucking thinking. Partying clown emoji indeed. So that was pretty epic. And I think that's when we figured out that there was something fucked up with shield batteries. Or maybe it was related to Zealot weight rounds or something. But yeah, that was pretty cool. This is when we started as well. We started doing recorded playthroughs of Brood War campaigns. And when I decided to do this, I was thinking, if this campaign doesn't really engage me, then I should just drop it after a while. And that's exactly what I did. So I did Clan Wars because DF recommended it to me. I might have even written as much in the description here. Nope, doesn't look like I did. I probably said it at the beginning of the video. And another thing that we looked at, obviously, was ACMD 0. That's All Confederates Must Die. I stopped playing that after a couple maps. There's the FPS retrospective. There's the Big Boys table. I don't actually remember what the fuck I was talking about in this. Maybe there's some clues in the description. The moral quandary of balancing time investments of untrained individuals against the constant distractions of those who refuse to improve. I'm wondering what the actual context is here, but I think this is something to the effect of like people are making up excuses as to why they can't improve or whatever. Oh yeah, and then this is like, I was at work and I wrote the script for this by design video, the principles for productivity, and I think it actually turned out pretty well. And I'm quite pleased with that. I think it was a nice way to sum everything up in my opinion. So I was like at work and I just, sometimes you get possessed with an idea and you can't stop working on it until it's done. And that's sort of what happened here. Although I think it did languish a little bit after the fact, after I wrote that, but I poured it all out basically. And then I only did like some small tweaks after the fact. And then a couple days later, I was able to record it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty good video if you haven't seen it. It's the most recent by design video I've done, I'm pretty sure. Obviously before that I did The Avenger. That was another shitty campaign. And we played Zerg Expansion. Yes, this is a campaign I forced myself to play through the entirety of because it was translated by UD Commander, and he even did some like translation on the mod work side of things where he translated strings in game as well. So he did a lot of work on it. So I wanted to like justify that. Obviously I learned my lesson because then when Kokolol had done a huge amount of work for translating Huncraft, which we played very recently, I did not suffer through more than one stream of that, I believe. That was a shit campaign. And yeah, don't do that. And that looks like it rounds out May with some like a Big Boys table, a DADCAW, and a channel map, if you can believe it. Pretty, I guess this is technically in June, but whatever. So pretty much the same sort of thing, nothing too crazy. I'm curious as to what this change DADCAW is, because it's like very vaguely titled. Well, nice description where it just says it's important to be able to change. I don't know what was particularly of interest to me then. But maybe we'll find some more clues as time goes on. So yeah, there's a lot of Hydra Melee AI in here. It took me a long time to actually set it up properly so that we could actually get it done. And I started working on the mod again. If we actually look back to the game state here, it's actually quite laughable. I saw a thumbnail that had like the flipped, mirrored Hydralisk Den being used as the Basilisk Den, which is pretty nuts. Looks like we've got Cuckadoo Port here. And I'm seeing some Rust, which I'm terrified of. I'm seeing me doing map analysis for Balethal. See, this is map analysis for Veek. This is me playing something. Oh yeah, and I was working on Swamp Rust, which was a hilarious map from a while ago. It's a 1v1 map. I still use it for AI testing every now and then, but at the end of the day, it's not. Its effectiveness as a test bed is rather limited because the AI doesn't know to not expand directly south of it, or it doesn't know to expand directly south of it, and instead expands at a really far away fucking place. So, unfortunate. If we continue looking through this, more Hydra Melee AI. Rust Marathon stream. Yes, one of the only 10-hour streams that I have done this year, I think. Or almost 10 hours. This was a fucking nightmare. I can't believe this happened. Hey, this is white theme PyMS as well. Veek was able to put together a dark theme PyMS, and I haven't seen that in a long time. Looks like we split here because of some internet outage or something. Oh, stream is cut by a momentary network outage. Yeah, there you go. Nice when I leave myself some information like that. But yeah, we're at the halfway point of the year at this point, coming to the end of June. If I take a look at the other stuff that's in here, we didn't have too many videos in June. In fact, I think this is all of them, besides maybe something that was over in the previous previous page. We started the Hydra Mail AI castovers using the some of the maps. Like I think this is Balathal's map, Moonlit Outpost, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it looks like it from the thumbnail. And Wish Upon a Starport. What a title, dude. Yeah, so there was some stuff like that. We discussed RTS campaign design with Mesk as the 50th episode. That was pretty cool. And another StarCraft playthrough. Let's take a look at what my description was over here. The video plans for the immediate future and my motivation for conducting yet another playthrough of StarCraft. And that's when it all began, baby. July 2020, we started playing StarCraft, the actual campaign. And each video was about 2 hours in length until it wasn't. There's a couple of them that were closer to 1 hour. I feel like there was one that was really long. Yeah, this one, Omega N, was 2 hours and 45 minutes. And of course, 50% like to dislike ratio. Is that really all you can hope for when you're insulting a classic? Insulting a classic, by the way. And yeah, that was pretty cool. So this actually took us just the month of July, really. Nothing crazy after that. I still plan on some follow-up content for that, but obviously it's many months removed at this point, so it feels a little redundant to do so. Campaign crap began, apparently, at the end of the month, which is a pretty big, momentous occasion. Fraud Morning. Remember when we did Fraud Morning, guys? Ultralisks and Connor remember Fraud Mornings because they were the fraud nights that they could come to. And that was pretty funny. So we had some gay old times there. Yeah. I don't know, pretty fun stuff. We had a lot of fun this year, dude. As crazy as it was, we had a lot of fucking fun. So obviously, we did some project planning in general, and then pretty soon after, when it came time, when push came to shove, Veek decided he would join me for working on Deliverance. And then at the last 2 weeks or whatever, we threw it all out and made Uprust Creek instead. And boy, were we. Uprust Creek, that is. So, but, we were working on Deliverance. I don't regret this either. I think this is a pretty cool project to work on. Obviously, sometimes I'd be working on the mod instead of Hydra mod instead of Deliverance. This is just because that I thought of that as the same thing. And I basically leveraged the opportunity to work on Deliverance as an opportunity to work on the Hydra mod. It looks like centaurs are in this. Yeah, centaurs are in the thumbnail for that, so they must have been implemented. I saw Gorger cores earlier, back then called Gorgoleths. There's Nathra cores over here. And yeah, so there's a lot of development. Oh, we're already in August. Oops. I should scroll back to the videos here. Getting ahead of myself. But yeah, so during the couple months that we were working on our Full Toilet submission for Full Toilet 3, Veek and I basically decided, let's just fucking go. Let's make this content. Let's work on Hydra as part of this campaign experience because we want to make this campaign using the Hydra game state. And essentially, I'd actually argue that we did more work on Hydra's mod than we did on Deliverance's maps. And that's not to say that we didn't do a good job with Deliverance's maps, because I think that Deliverance's maps are some of the most exciting maps that, the layouts that I've ever seen, even though we haven't actually played on them. Certainly, it was a very big learning experience for me to work on those. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. Yes, the Critter campaign. Now, this is where we're kind of getting into weird territory, because for me, the Critter campaign feels like I might as well have done it last week or something. Not that it's super fresh in my mind, but it doesn't feel like it was all the way at the beginning of August. I mean, that's many months ago now, so it's pretty crazy to think that that's real. But yeah, indeed, that is indeed real. And I guess we should take a look quickly at the... on the 6th of August is when I published the first video for the Semi-Pronago channel, and I wanted to just take a look at that. So indeed, we do have that going on the 6th. And then, the month of August in general was pretty quiet for uploads, and we kicked it back up in September. So that was pretty cool, I thought, to get those videos started. Obviously, if you go back and watch the older interviews that I've done, a lot more awkward and not really necessarily sure on what the fuck to do with a lot of this stuff, but and the overlays were very different, obviously. So yeah, pretty crazy shit. But it is what it is. We managed to get that stuff done. Here's another thing that feels like it was just a little while ago, was Batman. The Batman playthrough was in August. We started that in August. Pretty crazy. Hey, how'd I get here? Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. So as we rounded August out with more Batman videos and more AI castovers, and obviously if we scroll back to the streams, we've continued the streaming streak this whole time. We enter into September, still working on Deliverance for the live streams, and obviously still doing the Batman video. And then there was an angry emoji one that I was very upset about. Most of these Batman videos are partially blocked because of music. That's hopefully nobody who actually wants to see them can't see them, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm looking through the mod streams here. The Shield was actually a really fun mission to work on terrain-wise. It was pretty epic, although we didn't fully finish it. It was still one of those things that I really look fondly at. Back at if I can find like an example of, I think this is the last time I was working on the Shield, but I might be wrong. Maybe we can like find a still from it. It was back when I started developing the habit of timestamping this stuff. Although, of course, YouTube likes to break. Every now and then the player will break and you have to like click around. So yeah, this is not the most recent version of it, but you can start to see it's taking shape. I'm like manually piecing all the terrain together. And the webcam is not zoomed out enough. You can probably tell that pretty easily. The webcam being so tight on my face is not very flattering, nor is it very great for actually seeing what the fuck is going on. Something that I learned from my interviews that I was doing, and something that I think is good advice if you ever want to like just get that small leg up on the competition. As you can see, we were also implementing things like the nanite assemblies graphic, a bunch of stuff for the Protoss and Terrans, getting all that shit taken care of. We got fucking CSGO back for Fraud Nights. And this is obviously the month of September, so we're already into that month. If we continue scrolling through, September was mostly Batman. And I think it took a while for me to actually get my Batman review done. That was in the late October, so almost a month after finishing the playthrough itself. And then if we look over here, in late September, I had my interview with Maui Snake, I had my interview with Dust, and we kicked off October talking with my good friend Pullman, who appeared as the first guest ever of Hammer Meet Anvil, which I would like to do more episodes of, but I've just got to get mappers who respond to me in Twitter DMs or something. That's the only chance we can do that. That's not a one-man show, if you guys haven't figured that one out. And as October rolled on, I started doing this kind of content much more frequently. I did an interview with Adam Fitch, who's a good buddy of mine now. Well, acquaintance, I guess, but I don't know. He's good people, we'll say, and it was really cool to have him on. Obviously, we had Vu on, who I now do a talk show with for CSGO on a weekly basis. He's a pretty cool guy as well. I got a episode of Haka, episode of the interview show with Haka. Haka's a cool guy too, because he was somebody who agreed to come on for my talk shows as well, so you'll be seeing him soon. But he's just a cool guy. He's been on a bunch of stuff. He's been doing he did Flashpoint too, if you saw that, as the CSGO side of things. Everybody knows who Thorin is, and I had him on pretty instantaneously after Haka. This is something that I still kind of struggle with the second channel, and I guess in general, is if I have content, I don't necessarily understand why you would sit on it. I understand waiting maybe a day to release it in prime time, but I don't necessarily understand not releasing content as frequently as possible, barring time, like precise timing constraints for that day. So for example, obviously I had the Adam Fitch interview, and then the very next day I did an interview with Vu. And then 4 days later, I did one with Haka, and 2 days later, I had done one with Thorin. And then 2 days later, well, I guess 1 day later, I actually did 2 interviews, and I released them the same day. Maybe that's where I can say, like, okay, maybe we should be waiting to, release the interview at least a day between themselves or something like that. But, we had one with Launders, cool guy. So October was really like when we really started picking up steam. We did Squidski is a mapper. We did Richard Lewis, who everybody knows is a journalist. We did Elfish Guy, who's a cool guy from the Asian CS scene, and ANZ, Australia, New Zealand scene. Is obviously he's, I believe, an Aussie himself. And then we talked to him about commentary. Talked with Rizzle, who's the author of a lot of really cool maps and been a part of a lot of cool maps. Talked with Exner, who's like an up-and-comer North American commentator, I would say. He's a pretty cool guy, and we talked to him about like upcoming talent from the Tier 2, Tier 3 NA scene. At a time where NA was not quite as memed on as being dead as it currently is. And that's how we rounded out October. So it was pretty cool. Still surreal that I was able to sit down with like Thorin, Richard Lewis, Launders, Vu, some of these people who I'd been watching the content of for a long time, Hawkeye even as well. I've gotten a lot of people to say yes to my videos that I never would have thought otherwise, and it's been really cool to do that. So, especially on a one-on-one basis as well, it's pretty crazy. So we kicked off, or I guess rounding out the videos on the main channel, we obviously started the Crow Pill series, and we started putting my face on DADCAW. As you can see, 6 people liked this face video. 6 people like my face. That's pretty cool, dude. I've got a likable face. And then, we went on, talked about remasters being lazy cash grabs. We did my Inconsummate playthrough, which was pretty nuts. We that was a birthday present for Veek. And we also had, we had the daily Crow Pills. We did more daily and Consummate uploads for a while. Real Ow, indeed. And then it was a while before my Inconsummate video was complete, but that was much later. I think that was in the month of November, if I'm not mistaken. And on the streaming side of things, Fraud Nights, mod streams, working on Hydra. We weren't quite done with, were we quite done with Deliverance stuff? I'm not sure if we swapped over to Uprust Creek or not. I like this thumbnail. It's just a big version of me. Very epic. Yeah, I'm looking through here, and I'm not seeing anything that implies that I should be looking out for like the end of the. I think November 3rd was the slated end date for the not only the mod stream streak, but also Full Toilet 3, which that would have been when we decided to pull the plug on Deliverance, like around that point in time. But it was supposed to be late October. And it doesn't look like, it looks like full toilet mapping. So we did 2 streams of that, and then we were done, I guess. So I must have done a lot of it not during this time. And then I uploaded did separate streams day apart for iCore's Overlord demo, which was for Full Toilet 3, and Uproast Creek, which was Veek and myself. And I think I made iCore wear pink for that one, and not me, but I could be wrong. Maybe we all did. I think we had tied or something. And that's how we started November. With the stream completed, my next mod stream would be, well, on the 4th, apparently. And then I took a 2-week break, it looks like, or something like an 11-day break before my next one. And this is when we were working on the website launch. See, that's, again, it doesn't seem like, when I say 2 months ago, that doesn't seem like a long time. But the website feels like it's a very new edition, like a week ago. So that still feels out of whack. Time dilation, man. It's a crazy thing. And as we kick off November, we can go back to the side channel here, the CSGO channel. I can't really call it a side channel. I put a lot of work into it as well. So it's just another channel. But this is where we talked with Note, who's a co-host of It's Server Time, which is a podcast that I produce, talk show that I produce. So I've been able to, I was able to invite him on and get him interested. And then more map analysis videos for CS, and talk show for Metal Makers, a talk show that I did with Maui Snake. And then we had Mahone on. This one was actually a while ago. I think this was before the Note one even. So like maybe for multiple weeks, or at least a week. I had to wait for Mahone to give me the okay for releasing this, because he had an announcement to make that he was an analyst for NIP. So that was cool. We started the map analysis streams, Pullman and I, around, I think this must have been from the 15th or 14th, because it took me a little bit to actually get the thumbnail done and the timestamps and all that stuff and wait for it to process. Obviously I did Pripyat's map analysis video. I can't believe that was in November. That feels like I did that like 2 days ago. Talked with Josh Mix, another co-host from the Server Time talk show. In fact, I think the only person who I've worked on a podcast or talk show with that I haven't actually interviewed or had done any content with is probably Semphis. And I actually was in talks with doing some content with him, but the plans fell through because of something. And so I ended up getting Davey on instead for that particular video. But I'm sure there will be times where I do content with Semphis in the future, assuming he sticks around, which it seems like he will. So there will be time. There's time for that yet. Towards the end of November on this channel, we obviously did some stuff with Cat Food. Cat Food and I started a series called First Person Mapper. We've done 2 episodes so far. I think we're going to do a 3rd one pretty soon in the new year. We'll wait for that. We're going to run around Frostbite, which is a danger zone map created in CS by community mappers, and we'll get some of those people on. Sat down with Toking Fanatic, did another Metal Makers, more map analysis streams, and then yes, stability in CSGO. This is my first episode of Esports Samaritans, which is surely something that I will continue in the future. And then we reached December this month, if you can believe it. So let's finish off November in the main channel, and then we'll go back and round everything out. So, yep, HydraMod website at the beginning of November. Jump into Fraudcraft. This is when we started delineating between Fraudcraft and Fraud Strike. That was pretty cool. I think that would just make sense because people are going to come in for different things. The Chalks has historically been more on the side of Fraud Strike. I guess more recently, UD Commander also is in that boat, whereas people playing Fraudcraft, people playing Hydra, some of those people only play Hydra, you know? So there's some crossover appeal, but not so much that it makes that sense. Can't believe Wuckbot Envy stickers. Yeah, I can't believe that, actually. Pretty insane. I guess. And then there's the Immortal Ice Map mod streams, which were actually Balathal's map in disguise. Balathal's birthday present that I gave him. And at the beginning of December, we started the Dead Space playthrough, if you can believe that, as well. So that was only the beginning of December. I can't believe that. Which means that as I scroll up over here, we have the Hydra announcement and Mega Patch for the Mega Patch and website, I should say. We have the classic DADCAW reflection of me doing the wave emoji, because I was like, huh, but I got caught at an emotion blur moment, so it looks like I'm about to like cave your head in or give you a high five or something Corona fold, and that's when I was saying that I was a year-long modder, that I did an entire stream. Can you believe it? So there was some nice reflections. We had the mod streams until my internet came back, where I had to upload them, which was pretty fucking hilarious. Just for that, like I think there's like 2 of them. Yeah, I think I only had to do 2 of these. There's the 31st of October and the 1st of November, where I had to do these more condensed videos where I'd be working on full toilet mapping. So that's where the other full toilet mapping streams went. That makes more sense to me now. We started the Street Dog podcast in November with Dynamo. Bit of a replacement for the Big Boys table. Not necessarily a replacement in the sense that it's supposed to be the same kind of thing, but it's more podcast content for the channel. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's the Inconsummate Developer Diary. 6-hour video. It's not the longest video because I've done like 12-hour mod streams and stuff, but it might be the longest pre-recorded video that I have on my channel. That might be the case. But I do have some really long old Let's Play episodes. I think there was one Mass Effect video that might be about that length from a long time ago. I'm not even sure if it's on this channel. Actually, that's how long ago it was. So yeah, and then there was December 2020. We haven't had too many videos released here for this channel in December. We have the channel map. We've got another Street Dog podcast. We've got a DADCAW. And then we got Balathal Hydra Melee AI cast over that was on his map. And then we got a Dead Space 2 review. So that's pretty much it. Dead Space 2 review actually dropped earlier today as of the recording. In streaming content, we finished Dead Space. We did Huncraft Genocide. We worked on... this is like a one and done. I wasn't interested in playing it anymore after that. Broken Fraud. Yeah, Broken Fang. That was the operation that announced or launched a little bit before that. Let's see. I want to say in general, for the most part, a lot of this stuff is like more of the same. I haven't had as much to reflect on more recently because it's obviously more recent, but it was cool that I made a return to like essentially very frequently, maybe even daily streaks of mod streams, to the point where I was able to get a lot of work done on Hydra in the last 2 months, I would say. Particularly since it wasn't that long ago since the streak ended. Like for most days out of this year, this calendar year, the past 365 days, I was streaming, which is really weird to think about. Like I was doing daily mod streams. And I just mean mod streams. I'm not even talking about other streams. So I don't know. I'm happy with it. I think it was pretty cool. And that's how we did it. We ended with one more stream for good measure today, if you could believe that. And then obviously over here, wrapping things up on the other channel, we have another Metal Makers, episode 3. I'm sure episode 4 will come soon. Broken Fang map analysis, including Ancient, and then, my initial thoughts on Ancient, and then I did a more longer video on Ancient, and then I did a map analysis with Pullman on Frostbite. What else? Behind Black Mesa. Yeah, there's a Black Mesa interview. Bit of a weird one, bit surreal. I was kind of surprised that I would go from having a very negative review of Black Mesa to talking with the developers. I assume that they just don't know who I am, which is totally fine. It's probably better that way because I don't know how good faith they would have thought my questions were if I did it that way, so if they had known about my content. So it was cool to get honest answers out of them anyway. And I did try to press them where I felt it appropriate, but it also wasn't really a good vector for like taking them to task about things that I'm not even sure if they were involved in terms of the decision making. I asked about the psychology behind the reasoning for some of the decisions that they made in that. I think it was a good piece of content. And if you are interested in sort of like a follow-up, I guess, in a way to my playthrough, or if you're just interested in general, that might be something worth checking out. Then we have Elo Heaven. We've done 2 episodes of that so far. We've got another one planned for tomorrow as of the recording of this. So it's the first of the whole year and 1st of January. More map analysis videos and Esports Samaritans. I'm pretty proud of this episode. I think it was quite good. And I think people in general had a lot to enjoy about it. And then, of course, we have an episode with Drawlin of Big. He's like the social media. He's chief technical officer or chief digital officer or something. But he essentially manages a lot of their social media side of things and probably merch and some other things. And he's just been in CS for a while, so I had him on. We talked about CS. We talked about news as well. It was pretty good. It was like a banter-filled episode, I thought. So I thought it worked out really well. And then most recently, I think one of the interviews that I can be the proudest of in terms of the quality side of things is my interview with Scrawny, and talked about commentating CSGO in 2020 and how crazy it was. So I would say check that video out as well. Quite happy with it. And that concludes this crazy year in review. Hey, where's my face? That concludes this crazy year in review. It was about an hour long, which is sort of what I expected. Can't necessarily say I'm surprised, but I am quite pleased with the way that this year went, despite the fact, well, okay, I've got to qualify that statement. I think this year was okay. It was not the best for a lot of people. And I guess in some ways, myself included, like I was negatively affected by the events of the world, so to speak. And in general, I would just say, we made it. We're here. We're making this video right now for you. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this look back at a year of Pronogo. And may the next year be even more epic. May this coming year, May 2021, be truly something else. And that's all I'll say for you. So, thanks for joining me for this look back in 2020. I hope everybody is safe and sound. I hope everybody is A-okay. And I hope everybody just continues trucking on, self-improving, ascending to new heights with their brains, expanding their horizons, professing their prophecies, and checking me out on Instagram.